Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. My name is Tom or Professor Barry. Tom is more than fine. Any correspondence with me, phone call, email, that kind of good stuff. This is Introduction to Sociology, SOC 201. Welcome to the class. The goal of this video is just to kind of give you a little bit of background about sociology, and then just kind of walk you through the course requirements, structure, just to make sure you're kind of in solid ground for the beginning of the term. Before I forget, if you ever have any questions, give me a call, drop me an email. My email is tbarry, T-B as in boy, A-R-R-Y @cocc.edu. Just send me an email, say, hey, I'm having this problem, this issue. Can you help me out? I'm here to support you. Don't struggle on your own out there. You have a resource. Your instructors are the best resource for your classes. Man, lean on us, if you need to, or just involve us in discussions or, questions and problems and issues that you have. Better to sort of ask than spend 10, 15, 20 minutes just trying to knock your head around, trying to figure stuff out. So anyway, welcome to the class. Just a little bit about, just a real brief thing about sociology, because you're going to get, in week one content, you're going to get the introduction, sort of the bigger, larger overview of what sociology is. Sociology is a discipline that's very eclectic. It's a little bit of history, a little bit of anthropology, a little bit of psychology, a little bit of philosophy. It's really the ultimate goal is to try to understand society. And that's a big task, right? Understand the past, the present, big institutions, structures, legal system, education system, healthcare system. That very macro level, but then all the way down to the individual, our own identities, our gender identity, our racial identity, different parts of how we think, the language, our perceptions. So it's a sort of really eclectic field, and sociologists range some focus on the micro level, the individual, some focus on the macro level. There's different theoretical traditions in sociology that people take. So it's I think it's a really powerful field to try to understand, to step back from our everyday experience and be reflective of the world that we live in. And I think it's trying to encourage critical thinking, examination, suspending our own kind of values, beliefs, and ideals, and trying to understand different perspectives and ideas. I think there's a lot of value in that. So class is required for a lot of people who work in the public sector, nurses, people going to the nursing field, healthcare field, human services. I think it's really valuable for anyone, criminal justice, for anyone working with the public, a very valuable degree. And so taking an intro class is a good start with that. Okay, so yeah, the overall outcomes of the class. Let me kind of navigate, show you, share screen here for a second. Here, when you jump into your class in Canvas, the home page takes you to this sort of grid. And the grid is basically the calendar, and you can click on any of the weeks. I'll go to week 0 here. And there, I encourage you just to kind of give you a little bit of background, who I am. You might be interested in that, just sort of how I got to where I am. Definitely my educational pathway and professional pathway was not like I went to school to become a sociologist. It was, I was kind of a windy road, but every wind in that road was a lot of value and purpose and benefit to that wind. A little bit of information about the course, some information about requirements, deadlines, and things like that. So the deadlines, there's quizzes, there's assignments, discussion board. Basically, if things are turned in late, 25% off, nothing accepted more than a week after the deadline. That's kind of general idea. Here's the syllabus. Just spend a few minutes looking over the syllabus. We could talk about the learning outcomes real quick. I don't want to I think it's important just to kind of talk real briefly about them. There's 6 of them in the syllabus. I can pull that up here. I think you can see that. So here's core syllabus. Here's my stated office hours, but I'm available, by appointment, by Zoom as well. So, So even though it's listed those office hours, I'm available outside of those as well. So the outcomes, right? Okay, look at institutions and structures. Looking at power and privilege, part of sociology is trying to understand unequal social relations. So how does power influence dynamics in society, institutions, who has advantage, who's being disadvantaged by institutions, trying to create a more democratic, I mean, to be thoughtful and reflective for being able to facilitate discussions about inequality, to help promote greater equity and greater get us closer to the democratic ideal of things like equality of opportunity and things like that. Outcome number 2, apply sociological theories to the real world. So there's 3 main branches of sociology. There's a lot more than that, but there's 3 main branches, and we'll talk about those in week 1. And then take those theories throughout the term and apply them to the real world. Number 3 is to evaluate different perspectives. So part of this class, as well as I think a lot of classes in social sciences, is to step back from our own perspective and see things from different vantage points, challenge our own assumptions that we have about the world. We gather and develop assumptions about the world that may not be accurate or that may reflect personal lived experience, but they may not reflect somebody else has a different perspective and different experience. So it's being able to switch and think about, not necessarily agree with somebody else's perspective, but be able to understand and to develop a way of encouraging looking at things from alternative viewpoints. And that can be a difficult thing to do, things that we cherish, our values and our beliefs, to be able to say, hey, look, I'm going to hold on to those. I'm not changing them, but I'm going to look at things from a different perspective as well. And that takes a lot of skill and ability and time and attention and a lot of care to do that. Learning outcome number 4 is to analyze our values, our beliefs, traditions, individual level, and their impact on society and vice versa. Number 5, to think about the social roots of behavior. So human behavior, it's nature and nurture. This class is going to focus more on the nurture side. Is going to kind of critique the nature side, like a nature side only, or a predominant view that that's biological, that it's just who we are, it's nature. There's going to be a lot of critique of that in this class, to look at and identify all the social forces that are going on that are shaping human behavior. And then apply sociological theory to contemporary social problems and issues. So it's part of the class as well. So the overall assignments, what you can expect is we have weekly assignments. That the weekly assignments are in part reflecting on some stuff from the video lecture, and I try to keep the video lectures 30 to 45 minutes, somewhere in there, to reflect on some of the lecture content. Usually there's an article, a video that's applying stuff from the lecture or from the chapter. And so those are due every Sunday. And if it's late, it's 25% off, and it has to be turned in within a week after the due date. There's a chapter quiz each week. Chapter quiz each week, due by Sunday night. And if you don't get to that by that Sunday night, there's an alternative assignment that will be explained. And you can do that one time throughout the course of the term. There's a discussion board post. We'll have like 8 of them throughout the course of the term. So, basically a discussion board post with those discussion boards following the principles of community. So being respectful of others, challenging each other, but at the same time, using respectful language, discourse, and expressing your own opinion and values and ideals, but also respecting and valuing others as well. Then there's a midterm review assignment, so not an exam, and then a final exam, all online. Maybe back up for a moment there. The textbook, this is the required textbook for the class, called The Real World. You had to buy the book to get into the class. There's a thing called Inquisitive. It's kind of kind of gamey kind of system of jumping into the chapter, way to learn content if you get one right. But it works you towards a score. So it's like, okay, if you get one wrong, and then it gives you another one that's a similar question. It kind of builds a catalog of your responses, and then it gets you closer and closer to the score. I tried it out, and I've spent some time with it. I'm like, I don't know. I've asked some different instructors who've used Inquisitive in different classes, some pluses and minuses with that. So I just put together quizzes rather than using the Inquisitive. Feel free to use the Inquisitive, though. It may be helpful for you. All right, so that's that. And then, you can walk through, the requirements and stuff like that. I'll give you, you can spend the time looking through all that stuff. There's a lot of other information that's not on the syllabus, like all the details, but all this information is available if you go to week 0 folder. There's another, let's see if I can find it real quick. This right here, resources for students. So this institutional syllabus provides a lot of different resources for you. So check that out. And then the rest of the syllabus is just going through week to week. Like here's the week, but as you can see, is that every week is laid out here. You got I provide an overview for the week. Here's the attendance requirement. So usually it's an overview, the PowerPoint for the week. There'll be a link to the video lecture. I'll put it right here. It's not there yet. There's the quiz. Here's the assignment requirements. Here's where you submit the assignment. And then there'll be like, that'll be basically it. That's in there. And it's, that's all structured here. So you can kind of track through week to week what's going on there. Let's see. I think I got through most everything. Yeah. Keys to success, I guess, would be one thing to sort of highlight or talk about for a moment. So the keys to success for an online class or any class, it's really being organized, especially for an online class, creating a schedule, not letting everything, come at the end of the week. Some people operate that way. If you do that and you do that well, rock on, make it happen. I think it's, have 2 deadlines for yourself, one like midweek and one end week. You got different things, right? So you have the weekly assignment, you have the quizzes, the chapter quizzes, and then you have oftentimes a discussion board. My thought, I would start off the week, just being judicious in how you read a textbook. Some people like to read from the beginning of the chapter all the way to the end. I mean, that's one way of doing it, and nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's a great way to be immersed in the material. It's also time consuming too. I mean, you got 4 classes going on or 3 classes, you're working outside of school, got other responsibilities, and it could be a little overwhelming. So being judicious in how you read, spend maybe 45 minutes kind of looking around, looking into the chapter, seeing what's going on, maybe reading a little bit here, a little bit there, taking a few notes, just kind of some observational kind of things. For the quizzes, I give you 2 hours. So you have 2 hours, open book, open note. Once you start the quiz, you have to finish it, and it has to be done by the deadline. I think that's how it works. I think if you started, I don't know if it's due by 11:59 p.m. on Sunday nights. So I'm not sure if you started at 11:58, if you got 2 hours after that, but it has to be done. I don't know. I'm not sure what. I would always start it by 10 o'clock on, or 9:59 on Sunday night, just to make sure it's done, or 9:59 on Sunday night, just to make sure it's done by 11:59. But yeah, so you got 2 hours. So if you're familiar with the chapter, you've looked through it, I would do the quiz first, because the quiz kind of gives you an exposure to the content. So I'd start the week off maybe by doing a quiz. Then I would do the weekly assignment. I don't know. You got to watch the video lecture, take notes, look at the weekly assignment form first. Have that next to you as you're listening to the lecture, because that can kind of help guide you in terms of watching the lecture as well. Take notes right there on the weekly assignment sheet. There is a word count, so include your word count in the weekly assignment sheet. You'll submit all those in Canvas. There's a plagiarism check, so make sure, I'm curious about your explanation of the content. So, I mean, it's not about, if you do quote something, put quotation marks around it and cite it, but I don't think you ever need to do that. You just always use your own words, define and explain things. I'm trying to assess and understand your level of understanding. So putting things in your own words is essential. Yeah, so start the week off with the quiz, maybe do the weekly assignment or discussion board. Things are due on Sunday, but man, if you can get them done by Friday, and then you just got a few days of buffer right there. Okay, that's it. If you have any questions throughout the course term, let me know. Drop me an email. We can always Zoom meet as well. Welcome to SOC 201. Let's look forward to a good term. And have a good rest of your day.